Defense to me, I take it personal. With certain defense, it's all about mentality. I think it's more mental than physical. You know, you can be an athlete, but there are still great defenders who aren't athletes.
Episode 1, we're here with our guy, Ty Thompson.
That's right. Next up, Pick'em Pros, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm next up. I'm next up. I got next. I'm next up. I'm next up. I got next. I'm next up. I'm next up. I got next. I'm next up. Yeah. I'm next up. I got next. Diego and Derek, the dynamic duo, the son and the father from Picking the Pros. After 3 seasons, they got you believing it takes it they make, but they got other goals. Ain't it refreshing? Spot up and coming talent to keep you on your toes. Ain't it a blessing? See the future potential in someone else.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You know who it is. I am Derek Thompson.
And I'm Diego Thompson.
And who are we?
We're the Pick'em Pros.
We are the Pick'em Pros, coming back at you with our new show. Next up, man,
Yep.
episode 1.
Yeah, man, episode 1, man. Hype.
Yeah, we're hyped, man. We are here. Next up, this show is all about highlighting the up-and-coming people, the coaches, the players, everybody that's on their way up. So we want you to see the next set of pros here first on Pick'em Pros and on Next Up. So, and today, we have our guy, Ty Thompson, joining us today. So super excited to have him, assistant coach of Garner High School in North Carolina, legendary school. So they've had some great teams. I know coming up in the 90s in the Triangle area of North Carolina, man, Garner would always be up there, you know, doing their thing. So nobody wanted to tussle with them. So can't wait to hear about his journey and all that he's been doing and what he's going to do going forward. And I know he's going to have some great insight for you too.
Yes, definitely looking forward to hearing what he got to say.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So before we bring Ty on, man, let's just touch base on a couple things here. So school's about to start. It's fall season. Fantasy football is about to be upon us. We're actually about to have our draft.
Yeah, excited for that.
How you feel about the draft?
I feel great. You know, I got a strategy. I'll even tell you my strategy. I'm going to try to go receiver. Try to stack up on the receivers because running backs, they be getting hurt a lot.
True.
Especially in a 13-man league. I can't afford to draft a running back early and then have him get hurt. So I'm going to try and stack up on receiver.
Okay.
So, that's my strategy.
Okay, that's your strategy. All right, not bad. Where are you picking?
5.
5, okay, yeah. We have a 13-person league, like you said. I'm picking 12. So that's going to be a challenge.
Man, nobody's going to be there, man.
But you know what? I'll make it work, man. You know, I'm a multiple time champion. You know what I'm saying? So I've proven that I can adjust.
Right.
You know what I mean?
All right, man. We'll see.
All right. Well, one of the requirements for being the first guest on Next Up is to be a Thompson. You know, so you know we are Thompsons, clearly, father and son. The trophy of our fantasy football league is dubbed the Thompson Trophy. So with the theme of today, it's all about Thompsons. We have our guy Ty Thompson. So you ready to bring him on?
Ready to bring him on.
All right, let's bring on the first guest ever for Next Up, Mr. Ty Thompson.
I'm next up. I'm next up. I got next. I'm next up.
All right, Ty, welcome to the show, man.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, it is great to have you on, man. We're excited to learn more about what you've done, what you're going to do, up-and-coming coach in the ranks. And we met you at Clayton High School. Yeah. So, you know, everybody knows we're Clayton High homers, Diego and I. So, you know, we met you there. You were doing your thing, and now, you know, you've moved on to Garner High. And, you know, we're excited to learn more about everything that you have going on. But before we dive into the history of you and everything, I think Diego has a couple hot questions he wants to hit you with.
Cool.
Yeah, man. So as an up-and-coming player, trying to, you know, make these teams and trying to, you know, just make my way through high school, just tell me how to get better and, like, what would you say to someone that's just trying to make these teams?
My advice to you, always stay to yourself. You know, there's going to be a lot of people who doubt you. To be honest, I didn't really make my high school team my sophomore year or my senior year, but it never stopped me for the love of the game of basketball. So one thing I could tell you is to keep focusing on basketball if that's what you really want to do, no matter what nobody says.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, love that. And, you know, would you say I would say from the outside looking in that focusing on defense would be a key. And I know defense is your specialty, but, you know, what do coaches look for in tryouts? Is there any secret sauce as far as what to do to stand out in a tryout over everybody else?
One thing I could say as far as what would stand out as far as a player trying out for a basketball team is intensity. They love intensity and they love leadership and defense. That's one of the things I take pride in as far as defense. Every coach do love an athlete as well.
Right.
Staying consistent in the weight room, working out outside of the basketball court, and I'll say more so intensity, defense, and athlete.
Okay. All right, Diego. You know what to do, man. Put that time in.
Put the time in. Sure.
That's right. We're gonna be looking for you to make the team this year. All right, Ty. So let's take you back, man. So you from Brooklyn, Brooklyn in the house, okay? And you moved to North Carolina in 2010. I can relate to that because I'm from Chicago, and we moved here right before about freshman year of high school. So there was a big transition in doing so. So just tell us about that transition and how that kind of shaped your path on and off the court.
Transition coming from Brooklyn, New York, all the way down to Clayton, North Carolina, it was a change, especially with the environment, just everything being so close, just living, just everything being so close, especially in New York, you could walk right across the street to school. Now you got to take a bus to go to school, or, certain things that I couldn't do in North Carolina that I could do in New York. But just saying that, I'm from New York, a lot of people, think of certain things of, just urban area, and it could be hard living there. I couldn't live there, and there's so much to do. And being that, me being from New York, I have this chip on my shoulder, with certain things of, me living in Section 8 housing with my mom and my father and my brother and my sister. And it shaped me to be a better person, to know that I want to be a person from Brooklyn, New York, especially East New York, to show that, hey, this guy, he made it. He made it as a coach. He's doing what he wanted to do. He's not being a product of his own environment.
Right.
So I just carry that chip on my shoulder, and I think about it almost every day, because there's kids who don't have the opportunity that I have to go down south and do the things that, the kids wanted to do.
Right.
So I just do it more so for the place where I'm from, and I do it for me.
Good. Well, I appreciate you. Much respect to you for, representing where you're from, but at the same time, overcoming that and, setting an example for everybody.
So I know some of your coaching, some of the people that you look up to in the coaching world are Jim Boeheim and Rick Pitino. So just what traits and styles do you take after them and put into your own, put into the way you coach?
Jim Boeheim, he coached my favorite player, Carmelo Anthony, in 2003. And, Carmelo Anthony did his 1 year and won the, NCAA tournament. And one thing that I get from Jim Boeheim, basically his, like how he can adapt to certain players, that's one, and his openness and honesty with his players. You could come talk to him, and he'll let you air it out. He'll let you talk. He'll try to understand you to form a comfortability. And with Rick Pitino, one of the things that I started watching him even more, leaving from Clayton and going into Garner, because Rick Pitino was a guy I looked up to, especially the 2013 Louisville team that he had coached and won the NCAA tournament with him. He did a great job. I know he coached the Knicks, which is my favorite NBA team, back in the late 80s. And just hearing that, he did a lot of up and down with coaching, NBA, college, NBA. I really looked up to him because he had great aggressive defense. For Rick Pitino, I just like his success. He came from NBA to college to NBA to college, and one of the things that he is a fast-paced coach. He loves to run the break a lot. He wanted everything to be fast-paced, and that's a big difference from coming from Clayton High School and me coaching and transition over to Garner, because everything was more fast-paced.
We saw that a lot this last year, for sure. Let's actually go back to your playing days. Let's go back to your playing days. So you went to Clayton, went to Clayton High and played football and basketball. So just tell us about Tell us about your playing career and then ultimately how that influenced your coaching.
Got you. So to be honest, I didn't want to come into high school playing football. My freshman year, I entered my freshman year, and I wanted to primarily focus on basketball. And at that time, I did make the team, and I played junior varsity basketball, coached by Adrian Shirttail Rowland. And I enjoyed it. You know, it made me understand, you know, that you're not the best player on your team in middle school no more. There's a lot of other guys, and there's a lot of talent out there, you know, that can outshine you. And if you don't perform, you won't play. So I took it very seriously, you know, going into my sophomore year. My freshman year, I was average player. I'm gonna be honest, I was a nervous guy on the court. I was actually really nervous every time I got in. I got nervous. I was average, didn't play as much. Going into my sophomore year, I actually took this consideration to play football. At the time, there was a coach named Coach Pink. He highly recommended me to go ahead and play football. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't like football. I don't like football, but the only thing I really loved about football is the togetherness. It made me learn a lot just as far as a person than it did as a player.
Okay.
To be honest, I honestly think I was a better football player than I was a basketball player. And I didn't like the fact that, you know, we had practice almost every day in the hot sun, and I didn't want to go, you know, I didn't want to go outside every day and, you know, do these things. But I saw something that made me want to keep playing football is the togetherness, the brotherhood. And to be honest, I was an average player at first, and we were just having a regular day at practice. Our running back, he was in practice, and I was playing safety at the time.
Okay.
And out of nowhere, I just had a random big hit. I tackled him, I had a big hit, and then I eventually had a starting job the next game.
Oh, man.
And to believe it or not, my first start was against Garner's JV team.
Wow.
And it was probably one of the best games I've ever had. And me and the head coach had conversations, and I was talked about moving up varsity my sophomore year.
Man.
But football definitely shaped me into a person I am today.
Okay.
I really do love football. Football helps you. I honestly recommend any basketball player to play football. It helps you, weight room wise.
Yeah.
It helps you, the intensity, just the habitat of being in there to know that, you know, some basketball players don't like to lift. And then all football players do lift.
Right. Yes.
And it just shapes you to who you. It shaped me to who I am, as far as being a brotherhood, having a brotherhood, and just certain things that my former head coach Hunter Jinks, he took a big toll on my life with certain things that he told me that stick with me till this day. And dealing with basketball, my sophomore year, I actually got cut. I could have took it two different ways. I could let it set me back, or I could just learn from it and move on. So I learned from it, and I went hard all sophomore year. I went hard training in football, training in basketball. My junior year, tryouts.
Yeah, you were ready.
I didn't want to lay the ball up. Everything I did, I dunked. I tried to do it to the best I can coming in the tryouts.
Oh no, Ty. Okay, Ty. Now, you know you're not the tallest person in the world now. Okay, but as a junior, you would everything you were dunking.
I wore a weight vest under my coat every time I would go to school, or I would wear my ankle weights. And after, you know, wearing that during class in school, at nighttime, I at least do about 200 to 300 calf raises.
Ooh,
so
okay.
I did this for a period of time. I stopped wearing the weight vest, but I did the calf raises at home. And, you know, every time I'm in the gym, I try to dunk.
Okay.
And then this is my 8th grade summer going into 9th grade. I was playing with Carolina Thunder over in Selma. And I think my guard had shot the ball, and I came back and did a putback dunk for the first time.
Oh, nice. So, was that just adrenaline that just made you even do it?
The first dunk was in game?
Yeah, every time I would try. to every time somebody shoot the ball, I try to get it back and I try to throw it in there. And sometimes it didn't come out right, but this time it
just did. So, as far as trying to dunk, would you, like, if you were in the gym and you were trying to dunk over and over and over, did you start doing that even when you were really far away from actually being able to jump?
Yeah.
Just to start to train your body? Okay.
So if you train your body, because you don't know if you're a 2-foot or a 1-foot jumper, some people are different. Some people can do both. Some people can do either or.
Right.
I was always a 1-foot jumper. I never really could jump off 2 feet. That's why I try to tell kids earlier nowadays to work on your 2 feet because it'll help you. It's actually easier to do it off 2 foot because you'll absorb more contact. So
okay, man, that's hot. That's fine, man. I go to the office on Monday, man. I'm gonna have the weight vest on, have the ankle weights. Yeah, still, it's not too late.
Train to touch the net.
Okay. That's I saw your face when he said 200 to 300 calf raises. And he was like, "What? How many calf raises are you doing right now?"
Like 100 at most.
Got to step it up. Got to do 2 to 3 times more.
I know you created the freshman team at Clayton High in 2022. So what was the biggest challenge to do that?
So to believe it or not, it was my senior year. We actually had a freshman team for the first time, but I came back to Everson Simmons. He was the head coach at the time. I talked to him about bringing back the freshman team, and he loved it. And the main challenge that I did have with certain kids is the fact of for them to allow themselves to play freshman team because they felt that they were better than what they were. So sometimes, some of the kids who would play on the court, you could see it like, I don't want to be here. I should be on junior varsity. I shouldn't be on freshman team. But to believe it or not, it helps certain kids in longevity terms for the program. For JV and varsity, it helps certain kids. Like, to believe it or not, I know you guys had a recent kid on the show, Jaden Gray. He actually played about a couple games for me. Khalil Walters over at Clayton High School played a couple games for me.
Man.
Yeah, but they were JV guys, but they played a couple, just to help me out and whatnot for these games. But yeah, it's just more so for the kids to understand that this isn't a setback. This is allowing us for you to get better, so you can get ahead and play in our program because we want you here. So just that was the main challenge because some kids think they're better than what they are.
I can see that. And it takes a certain type of coach to really, connect with players to get them to buy in. So that says a lot about you. You have a philosophy of, never being satisfied, right? So tell us a little bit more about that never being satisfied philosophy and how that has impacted some players on you.
Never being satisfied. One of the things, that's one of the main things I love to say is never to be satisfied and how do you respond. Never being satisfied. Are you willing to put in the time after a bad game, before a bad game? Are you just going to be content? Are you just going to say, hey, I finally scored my first bucket, and you're going to be satisfied with that? No, you want to keep going for more. You want to achieve higher than what you can. And I say a great moment for never being satisfied. I have to bring up this player of mine who played for me, Garner Holmes. Garner Holmes, later on in his past season I had with Garner, he had broke his forearm playing against Cleveland High School, and it didn't stop him. We needed him, throughout the playoff run, but it didn't stop him. He later on played EYBL with Team United, and he had numerous and multiple 20-point games. I actually think he scored 29 against Team Kevin Durant. Yeah, he's really good. And he went over to the Burlington School with reclass. I respected his decision because that's something he thought was best for him. But he never settled. He was never satisfied, and he always wanted to aim high. And I'm proud of him for that.
Yeah, so you emphasize that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So can you give an example of a player that you've coached, or just like any player in general that you see, like watching on TV or whatever, that has that does this?
Yes. Another guy that's been on your show, Jeremiah Henson. Jeremiah, this kid, I've seen him from a sixth-man sophomore guard into a state finalist. And from the way he progressed, when I saw him from his sophomore year all the way to his senior year, you could tell he did the little stuff. You know, he always worked hard, even before and after practice. Some of the things I would see him do after practice is over, he's running suicides to get an extra win. You know, some of the things that we tell him that we want him to do, he's the type of kid to be like, all right, I'm going to go do this, coach, and I'm going to go work on it. And he works on it not just in the gym while we're watching, he do it when nobody else is watching. And that's why I seek that hard work for him is really, really, really working out for him, because it's in the long run. Talent, to me, you're going to have talent here and there, but how long does that talent is going to work for you? Because eventually you're going to run into a group of guys where they're more talented than you and they're working hard, so your talent can only go so far.
Sure.
So, Ty, let's talk about some of your career milestones up to this point. You're still early in your career, right? So you have so much more to do. We're excited to follow you throughout your career. Everybody within the Pick and Pro community is. But let's talk about some of the big wins. Can you share some of the most memorable wins, or maybe the most memorable win?
Yeah, it's crazy because I coach for both teams.
Right.
So it's 2 games. In 2024, I was coaching with Clayton and Anthony Walters. He's class of 2024. Hit the buzzer beater for us to win the game, and that's the first time we beat Garner in 10 years. And then I would say this past season, and I'm pretty sure it was the beginning of this year, 2025, when we played Clayton at Clayton. When I was coaching with Garner.
Right.
And it was 18 seconds left. We're down 2. Aiden Smalls has the ball, and then Dave Scott steals the ball away and makes a pass to Kingston Bill, and he scores the layup, and then we go into overtime and we win.
Right.
And, you know, just from those 2 experiences, from the crowd, the intensity, it's always the battle of the Highway 70. That'll never end.
Yes.
And this battle and war rivalry goes back years before me too.
Yes, it does.
And it's just, those games to me are personal. Those games is always personal. When it's Clayton and Garner, it's always personal.
Yeah.
So I would say those are the 2 most memorable wins.
Yeah, we were at that latter game. I mean, it was great environment, great game. Yeah, you guys really did your thing in that game. So, speaking of that, actually, Diego, before your question, I want to go to some of your milestones. I know we have some hardware here. Mike, can you bring some of those up here on set?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's check out, see what we have here. All right, so tell us a little bit about this one.
I would have to say, you know, first and foremost, I appreciate Coach Black and Waka Flocka Flame for granting me the opportunity to coach with Brick Squad Monopoly grassroots basketball team. This is just an award for, you know, my recognition of outstanding work and dedication to the program. This was gifted to me about a week ago. I coached over at the class of 2028 Brick Squad Monopoly AAU team. We had a great season. Not too many wins, but why I say great season is because the kids learn and the players learn. One thing about me, when I coach, I don't just coach for basketball. I coach young men to become, you know, even more mature men. And, you know, it's a life thing. It's more than just basketball. So that was gifted to me by Waka Flocka Flame and Coach Black.
Nice. All right. Yeah, congratulations. I think we have one more.
Yep.
Let's see what else we have. Another one. So that was 2025. And then this one.
It's the same year.
Okay.
Basically, it's still just, you know, dedication of my hard work and, you know, countless hours, you know, being in the gym with the kids when, you know, nobody was there, you know, I did everything I could for these kids.
Yeah, they need that. You know, the head coach clearly is very important, but it takes a strong staff overall to really have a great program. You know, and a lot of times when coaches are recognizing, when players are recognizing coaches, a lot of times they're recognizing a lot of the assistant coaches, the ones that were working with them one-on-one in the gym. So I know that has to be super rewarding for you. So that's great. Yeah.
As an assistant coach, what was the biggest adjustment you made coming from Clayton to Garner?
So one thing I had to adjust to Garner is that we are guard heavy. You know, having Andrew Grimes, Justice Mitchell, the year before, you know, they were, you know, pretty big forwards. And just having an adjustment was kind of different for me because typically when I was playing, it was the other way around. Garner was the big guys, and we were just always a lot of guards at Clayton. And just adapting to, Garner's transitional offense and fly around defense, it was a little different rather than, just being at Clayton where we could just feed it inside and work inside out. So I would say that was the most different, thing that I had between Garner and Clayton. Oh, and my role as a coach, to be honest, I took it, very deeply this year. I tell myself every year, we always want to move up. We don't ever want to be satisfied. You don't want to be satisfied. You want to be complacent. So every year when I'm doing something, I want to do something different. I want to do something more. I typically do the scout reports for the opposing teams that we play, and make sure that I watch film. I'm a film head. I watch a lot of film, study the players, study the team, study the coach of the opposing team, and I do mainly the scout reports, and I handle the defensive side of certain things.
So speaking of your defensive philosophy, let's dig into that a little bit. So, I'm sure a lot of that has to be a challenge because, everybody wants to play offense. Right? Everybody wants to score.
Yeah, everybody wants to score.
But they say defense wins championships, and I'm sure you preach that over and over. So how do you get, your players to buy into your defensive philosophy?
So I know a lot of kids want to play college basketball. They want to have a free education. So one thing I do tell my players is that you're not going to be able to play college basketball if you can't play defense. If you watch really good college games, not even just now, but back in the 2010s and that era, good teams have a lot of good role players, and if they specifically assign to their role and do their duties, they make a great team. So when it comes to defense in my philosophy, I tend to tell them that defense is more important than offense, in my opinion. Defense to me, I take it personal. When certain defense is all about mentality, I think it's more mental than physical. You could be an athlete, but there are still great defenders who aren't athletes. Right. It's everything. I feel like with the defensive side is mental. I like to be up close and personal. I want to make my opponent. I want to make my opponent uncomfortable. And I don't want to. I want to be disciplined. I don't want to just keep reaching all over the place. I want to keep turning him. That's one of the things that I really tend to gravitate towards and to telling my players upon my philosophy.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Yeah, turn them constantly. Yeah, I like that.
So you scout the opposing teams. So with that, when you're preparing for a specific opponent, like what do you do to tailor your defense to stop the opposing team?
So this goes back towards my philosophy. I'm very personal and mental with knowing my opponent. So what I do is I develop a scouting report, a piece of paper, and I give it to my players when we have team film sessions. But I write the opponent's first and last name. I tell them if they left-handed or right-handed, and I'm a numbers guy too. I base it off their numbers, and I write their averages. I write down who is the floor general, who is the main scorer, who averages the most rebounds. I put everything into one sheet of paper so my players know that this guy is going to come and do this. And as well, I give a description on one of their go-to moves. What are the moves that they love to do the most? So I take the time to do that. And as far as for team scouting, I tend to draw the plays as best of my ability, and I pay attention to the clock. I pay attention to the time when they run these plays, or how many points they're down, and what is their play with this certain amount of points is down. Those are the things I pay attention to when it comes to defensive situations.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's very interesting. That's intricate, yeah.
And I love that. The reason why I do these certain things is because I want it bad. I love it. It's just for the love of it.
Yeah, definitely. I love watching the team that plays good defense. Like I love Diego knows the Houston Cougars in college. I love watching them because they turn you, they get up in you, they do so much. And what's so wild about them is they don't like really trap. They do it from, just they have a certain philosophy with the way they do it, and they also have a football mentality.
Yeah.
They act like there's a line of scrimmage.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's just such a cool thing. And then looking at some of their drills, there's no out of bounds, and people are flying, up against the wall.
Play
And
hard.
oh, I love it. They're hungry. They really, really want it. So we actually were at a Garner game this past year, and you guys were playing another team. And I noticed that so this is probably you, whenever the big guys would bring the ball down, y'all stripped them every single time. So that was most likely you.
I tend to, tell the guys whenever you see, especially an opposing team that have, big guys, sometimes I tell them to take a quick stab at it, just to check it real quick and then go right back and retreat, stunt the pass sometimes, just to see, But yeah, we definitely like to be scrappy. We're a scrappy team.
Love that.
So community involvement is a big part of your program. So what has been your favorite community event so far?
One of my favorite community events that I did this past year with my AAU team was that we host free workouts and free skill development over with Brick Squad Monopoly with Coach Black. He tells me to, offer that to the community as well, for the kids to get in the gym and to stay in the gym and, just to help the kids out. And then one of the things that I tend to do is with my teams over at the high school setting, I like to take them to one of my favorite food spots, the Dankery. And we go over there and we have, a bonding moment there, and then we show love to the community by, giving back to the local Black-owned business, the Dankery. So.
Love that. Love giving back. Big part of that. So love that. So let's talk about life outside of basketball a little bit. So I understand you're a cooker, quite the chef, I'll say, and also you're into embroidery, which is great. We need to holler at you about that. So just tell us about those two passions of yours.
I developed embroidery right after high school, being an assistant manager over at Lids. I started not to like it, and eventually I started to like it because it was creative. It was creativity. And I eventually invested in my own machine, and I have a little, side hustle where I just go ahead and, do embroidery for local businesses, or I have my own specialty where I create my own, design and whatnot. And then as far as cooking, I've been cooking for a long time, growing up in a household and watching my father and my mother cook. Always wanted to make good food like them. I wanted, I wanted one of my specific dishes to be a part of the Thanksgiving meal so I could feel important too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And recently, my mother, I made some strawberry banana pudding for my mother, and she told me that's on the menu now.
Okay,
So,
okay, you made the menu. All right, chef.
I finally made the menu. But cooking, I've been cooking all my life, from restaurants, Italian restaurants, Jamaican restaurants, Waffle House. I've been cooking for a while, and one of the two things that I really like that, because it brings me peace. Typically on Sundays, I just, I like to cook and just be creative and open my mind up. That's one of the things I like to do, and just relax and take the time to myself.
Okay. Have you started watching The Bear yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, yeah, you gotta check that out. We just finished binge watching that, so I think they finished 4 seasons so far.
Okay.
But it's a show about a restaurant in Chicago.
I'll check it out.
So
man.
yeah,
that sounds dope.
definitely,
I'll check it out.
definitely have to check that out. Okay, you made it big. You're inspiring me. I'm gonna have to work on my cooking skills, man, so I can make the Thanksgiving menu. I don't know why you're looking at me sideways.
I don't think you're making the Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, my man's inspiring me. We're gonna do that. And when I make the menu, I'm gonna call you.
Yeah,
You'll be the first person I hear.
I'll check it out.
All right, that's what's up.
All right, so your why in your coaching portfolio mentions your daughter. So how has being a dad changed the way that you coach?
My daughter means everything to me. It's just not all about me no more. I have a child. I have to look after her, and every move I make and every decision I make, I have somebody looking at me when I do it. So I definitely want to be the great father figure I could be to my daughter, to show that this is how certain things are supposed to be ran. This is how this is supposed to go. This is how that's supposed to go. And one thing I always want her to know is that I want her to do better than everything that I do. I want her to be better than me. I want her to do everything where sky's the limit, that she could just go and chase her dream, and I'm going to help her as a father to chase her dream. But she's definitely changed my life on how I look at things now, just due to the fact that it's not all about me no more. It's about my daughter.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's the biggest why you can get right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, love that. Well, Ty, we're gonna get you out of here on this one last question here. So again, everybody's career ends at some point, whether it's LeBron at 23, 25, however long he's gonna play, or if it's high school or wherever that is. But what's the number one lesson that you want your players to take away when their basketball journey comes to an end?
One thing I want all my players to realize is the great words of Hunter Jinks, one of my former football head coaches: how do you respond? It's very key. Life is going to knock you down. It's going to put you in situations where, you have to see if you're going to feel defeated and be defeated, or you're going to respond and get back on your feet. Everybody, slips up and, have setbacks, but it's all about the comeback. It's all about, how you respond of certain situations. Do you trip out, or do you go ahead and see what's next? Do you look ahead? You don't want to look directly at the mistake you made. You want to look directly at the mistake you made and learn from it and move on. But how do you respond is very key in life, and that's one of the things I say to all my players.
Yeah, that's great. Well, man, hey, it's been a pleasure having you on. First guest for Next Up, a Thompson. So like I said, we had to start it with a Thompson. We're going to follow you. We're going to follow your journey, and we know you're going to continue to inspire many people, continue to be a great coach. We're going to follow you throughout your journey, and also as you raise a beautiful family. So proud of you, man. Hey, thanks for being on.
Shifts to next up.
I'm next up. I'm next up. I got next. I'm next up. I'm next up. I got next. I'm next up. I'm next up. I got next. I'm next up. I'm next up. I got next.
Diego and Derek, the dynamic duo, the son and the father from picking the pros. After 3 seasons, they got you believing it takes it they make, but they got other goals. Ain't it refreshing? Spot up and coming talent they keep you on your toes. Ain't it a blessing? See the future potential in someone else holds. A lot in they aura, blowing they spirit. 2 gentlemen capture, recording they witness. What they also doing is sowing the seed in somebody and paying attention. So if you need reminding who next up, you can find it. Pick on pros, talk and chime in, give you the future that's aligning.
I'm next up. I'm next up. I got next. I'm next up. I'm next up. I got next. I'm next up. I'm next up. I got next. I'm next up.